My nephew Devan said it would be 2 days. That was before I knew what a Vethaal survey station looked like, which is a lot of flat, pale rock under a sky the color of old tin, and a row of white tents that are not actually white, just whatever color Vethaal surfaces go when they want you to know they're neutral. Neutral is a big concept with the Vethaal. They mentioned it 17 times in the orientation packet alone. I brought Tuck because nobody told me not to. She's a Harris's hawk, 6 years old, female, 32 ounces on a good day, and she's been on my left glove since I walked off the transport and onto the plateau. The glove is elk leather, worn to the color of creek mud. Tuck sits on it the way she always sits, feet gripping the perch roll, tail fanned just slightly, head rotating in small, precise increments as she reads the horizon. She was looking at the tent line before I was. I didn't think much of it. David had explained the situation on the transit. A Vethaal classification survey. Formal, treaty-obligated, every world that wanted Covenant access had to submit. They would scan us, categorize us, file the paperwork. It would take 3 days, 4 at the outside, and Earth would come away with whatever tier designation the instruments decided we merited. Devan was optimistic. He'd been optimistic for 2 years, which I respected, and wrong about timelines consistently, which I had stopped pointing out. The delegation was 11 people, 2 actual diplomats, a biologist, a materials analyst, 3 observers from agencies I'd never heard of, Devan, and me. I was listed on the manifest as Earth Agricultural Observer, civilian grade, which meant I was there because Devan needed a warm body and I owed him for the fence line incident in 2019. The manifest did not mention Tuck. I added her myself in the remarks column. Nobody caught it. The survey team began at the far end of the tent line and worked toward us in order of what their instruments flagged as complexity. The 2 diplomats went first, then the biologist. The materials analyst took a while. Something about bone density registering unusual, which she handled by standing very still and looking politely bored, which I gathered was the correct response. The observers went through in a group. Nobody flagged anything interesting. Devan went. Clear. He gave me a small nod on his way past. I nodded back. I was last. There were 4 of them in the scanning team by then. The lead carried what I had been told was a Class 7 biometric instrument, which could reportedly identify any organism in the Cooperative's catalogued database of 41 million species. He was tall, slate blue, with a secondary pair of hands folded against his midsection that he only unfolded when he was adjusting the instrument. The other 3 were younger, or smaller, or both. I couldn't read their ages, but they deferred to him, so I deferred to him too. He approached with the instrument already extended. Tuck turned her head. She looked at the instrument the way she looks at anything that moves, completely, without blinking, with the particular quality of attention that has nothing sentimental in it. She's not curious. She's assessing. She's been assessing things for 6 years, and the things she has decided are not worth her time number in the hundreds, and the things she has decided are worth her time end the same way, which is quickly and on the ground. The instrument didn't make a sound, but the lead surveyor's secondary hands unfolded. He passed the instrument along Tuck's eyeline once, slowly. She tracked it. He did it again. She tracked it again. He held it closer to her, and she turned her head 11 degrees in the other direction and regarded it from a new angle, which I recognized as her general posture when something was between interesting and not worth it. He stepped back. The 3 behind him said something I didn't have a translator for. He said something back, short, and his secondary hands folded again, which I was beginning to understand meant something. He tried the instrument a second time. Tuck blinked once, that slow, deliberate blink that hawks do, the one that looks like patience but is actually just the nictitating membrane cleaning the eye, and looked past the instrument to the tent line. The lead surveyor looked at his instrument screen for a long time. One of the younger ones came forward and tried a different instrument, smaller, with a green readout. Tuck ignored it entirely. She had found something on the horizon. I couldn't see what, a thermal probably, or a movement in the pale scrub at the plateau's edge, and she was watching it with the full weight of her attention, which is a specific and measurable thing if you've lived with a raptor for any length of time. The instrument's readout stayed green. Blank, maybe, or full. I couldn't read it. The young one stepped back. The lead surveyor looked at me. I said, "She's friendly," which was not exactly true, and not exactly a lie, and he didn't have the context to evaluate it either way. He said something to the others. Two of them walked away toward the main tent. The third stayed. The lead surveyor stood there for a moment with his instrument at his side and his secondary hands half unfolded and half not, which I was now confident was the physical equivalent of a sentence he hadn't finished deciding to say. Then he closed his instrument. "The survey is complete," said the translation unit at my collar. "You haven't?" I started. "The survey is complete," he said again, and he walked away at the same pace he'd walked toward me, which was calm and steady and didn't change. Devon appeared at my elbow 3 minutes later. He was doing a thing with his face that I associated with him trying to decide how to explain something. "What was that?" I said. "I don't know yet. Did they get what they needed?" "I honestly don't know." Tuck mantled once, briefly, ruffled her feathers out and settled them back in, which she does when she's decided a moment is over and it's time to move on. I adjusted the glove. She gripped down and went back to watching the horizon. We were back on the transport by afternoon. 6 days later, a classification packet arrived at the Earth Diplomatic Coordination Office. I heard about it from Devon, who called me while I was mending a section of the east pasture fence. The packet listed 11 members of the delegation by name, assigned preliminary cooperative standings, noted the duration of the survey, and concluded with Earth's new designation, ongoing non-negotiable sovereign under full covenant protection, Tier 1, effective immediately. Tier 1, Devon told me, meant that Earth was in the top 11 worlds ever to receive that classification in the history of the cooperative. It meant trade access, defensive guarantees, and a seat on the Standing Advisory Council. It meant, in practical terms, that nobody in the cooperative was going to do anything to Earth, or near Earth, or adjacent to Earth's interests, without a very long and very serious conversation first. I asked Devon what line item in the packet had moved us to Tier 1. He was quiet for a moment. "The final entry," he said. "What did it say?" Another pause. "It said the survey closed early. It gave a reason code." "What was the reason code?" "It cross-references to a classification protocol," Davin said. "For survey sessions that encounter it translates roughly as prior designation, a being already beyond classification. The code means the instrument can't categorize it because there's no category." I thought about that. How many times has that code been used before? 13, Devon said, in the entire history of the cooperative. Tuck was on the fence post nearest me, watching a rabbit work its way through the far grass. She was patient. She's always patient, right up until she isn't. "She missed that rabbit," I told Devon. "What?" "I flew her this morning. She missed." A long pause. "Clem, I'm telling you, Earth just received the highest diplomatic classification in the known galaxy." "I know," I said. "I'm saying she missed the rabbit. She'll get the next one." I hung up. Tuck launched off the post without my signal, which she does when she's decided she's waited long enough. She went low over the grass in that flat, fast glide, the one that looks unhurried until it doesn't, and hit the far end of the pasture in silence. I waited. After a while, I walked out to collect her.